All right, ladies, happy Monday. I am so excited for this call. I mean, what call? I'm not excited, right? I always say that, but I'm truly excited about this call. We have someone in this call today that I am such a huge fan of her um, for so many reasons. And I'm super excited to have you here. So honored to have you here. For those of you that don't know Dr. Amy Shah, she is an incredible nutritionist. I mean, all science based and gut healer. I'm going to call her the gut healer. And she works primarily with gut health and, all the good stuff with gut, especially for women over 40 that, unfortunately through perimenopause, we start dealing with a lot of, let me just get.
I don't like when you do that.
Let's mute, ladies. Especially with perimenopause, we do start dealing with some gut issues. I had my own ordeal myself. Lord have mercy, it was so hard to get that thing fixed. You do not want to be one of those. So put your listening ears, because what I know today, if I knew before, I would have avoided the gut suffering that I dealt with for 6 months, for over a year, but it took me 6 months to get healed. So super, super excited that Dr. Amy Shah is going to be here sharing with you. She's actually also in the program now for our private clients that are with us. I'm so honored to work with her. This woman is a world renowned in nutrition and so many other things. She's a mover and a shaker, and I'm just so honored to have her in the call. So Amy Shah, welcome to our community group. Thank you so much for your time. So take over, girl. And ladies, for the ladies that have questions, we're gonna do a mini Q&A at the end. So hold your questions, and we're just gonna let her, share her expertise and her heart with us.
Thank you so much. First of all, thanks so much for being on. I know everybody's so busy in the evenings. I have a question though. How many of you guys are feeling tired a lot of the time? Or I guess there's a couple questions. First, I'll ask you the tired. How often is anybody, like, you can raise your hand virtually. Do you guys feel tired? Or you can just wave if you do a lot of the time. And if you do, we're going to be talking about how the gut plays into that and what you can do, especially for women over 40, to kind of balance your hormones and improve your gut health so that you can have more energy and get to your goals, like your weight, your fitness goals. So, okay, I see a couple of people saying that they are tired. Anyone suffering concerned with hormones, like who's really into getting their hormones back on balance? Because you can raise your hand or wave, because hormone balance, couple hormone balance. Okay. Hormones are a big thing because most people, nobody's probably told you this, but the reason why a lot of your hormone issues start in your 40s, 30s, 40s, and really in your 40s and 50s is because perimenopause affects, like, not only your hormone levels because they're going down, but it changes your gut, and our gut and our hormones are intertwined, meaning that some of the problems that we get with menopause, the brain fog, the cognition, the weight gain, even the hot flashes, it's because our gut is altered. And people will get, almost everyone in perimenopause gets low vitamin D. Almost everyone gets high cholesterol. Almost everyone suffers with belly fat. And that is because of the changes in the microbiome. So I'm going to be talking about, like, how is this connected and what we can do to change that. So hormone balance seems like it's a big issue. And I know that Coach Patricia talks a lot about hormones. So I want to make sure that we cover kind of the nutritional things that we could be doing to kind of optimize our hormones, the lifestyle, nutrition, and medical things. And then I'll tell you a little bit about how I got interested in this. So I've always been interested in nutrition and interested in hormones. And when I was in a class in medical school, they talked about how our hormones and our immune system were controlled by our gut bacteria, meaning that the way you metabolize food, the way you show up in the world, even your mood had a lot to do with the microbiome in your gut. So much so that if you transplant your microbiome into another person, you will transplant your mood, your hormones, your vitamin D status, all of it. Okay, so that's how much it plays a role in the way you feel on a daily basis, your fatigue, your mood, and all of it. So I think it's something we don't really think about or talk about at all. Like nobody really tells us, like, hey, your gut health, your microbiome is the reason that your vitamin D is off, that your cholesterol is off, that you're getting more belly fat, that you're feeling more tired, that you're feeling all these other hormones like thyroid and all these other things that are going wrong. So I think that was really eye-opening to me when I learned that. So much so that I did research in my medical training on how hormones affect the immune system and how the gut all plays into this. So here's the key. I think people don't realize that our gut bacteria need to be happy. If our gut bacteria are happy, our hormones are happy. They produce these things called short chain fatty acids, the gut bacteria do, and they send it to all over our body, our brain, our lungs, our heart, our muscles, and they calm the inflammation and they boost your mood, right? So if you think about it, when you exercise, one of the things that happens is your gut bacteria start to get really happy and they produce these short chain fatty acids and they go all over the body and they calm the inflammation and they make you happy. So not only are you happy because you're moving your muscles and your blood is pumping, but it's because these gut bacteria are producing chemicals that go all over your body to make you happy and less inflamed. So that being said, exercise is one of the best things, and you guys are all on the bandwagon of exercise, but particularly certain types of exercise. So the studies show that your gut bacteria love when you move, but especially love when you move in nature. So when we're talking about getting our 10,000 steps, you want to get some of that with natural light because they love it when you're moving your body. And if you think about it, thousands of years ago, that's how we mostly moved our bodies, outside, taking a walk, taking a hike, that kind of thing. And they also love when you use your muscles. So remember that especially as you move into your perimenopausal years, you really do want to do that weight training exercises. So exercise is one of the main ways to keep your gut bacteria happy. It's actually the best probiotic that you could be having in your life is exercise, which is so surprising. I don't think most people realize that. They're like, oh, probiotics, that's a pill, right? No, the best probiotic you could be taking is actually exercise. How many of you ever had heard of that exercise is the best probiotic? Yeah, like that's something that's very, very unknown and not talked about at all. So that can improve your gut health in so many ways. So I always say you wake up and you do exercise as soon as, early in the day, the better, because exercise is something that you can immediately do for your gut health. And then the other thing I say is, so fitness is one F, and the second F is food, fermented and fibrous, high protein breakfast. So fermented and fiber and your high protein breakfast. So I know that Coach Patricia, all of you probably are having a high protein breakfast. I want you to think about, hey, this is our chance to feed the microbiome the food that it needs to function at its optimal place so that it can give us the best hormones, it can give us the best mood, it can help us with disease processes, all of that. So one of the best things you can do is eat a meal that's high in fiber. So we're talking about fruits and vegetables, we're talking about seeds and nuts. We're talking about, if you want to add some psyllium husk or chia seeds or any of that fiber to your breakfast. And then you want to have it to high protein, about 30 grams of protein. And then you want to have something fermented in the morning just to get it over with. So fermented probiotic food is something that has bacteria in it already. So that could be a yogurt, that could be a probiotic cottage cheese, that could be a little spoon of sauerkraut, that could even be a raw apple cider vinegar and water. And so starting your day with fermented fiber, protein filled food And with exercise is one of the best ways to start your morning to optimize your gut and hormone and brain health because it's all connected. Now, one of the things I talk about a lot that you probably do very little of is gut rest. So I always talk about circadian fasting. So I'm not a believer in fasting for very long periods of time. And I know that we talked about Coach Patricia and I had talked about how she really doesn't recommend it at all. And I think that what we have to remember is that eating your meals during the day and not snacking late at night, giving your gut a proper rest is a very important place. Like just like your brain needs rest, you want to give your gut a rest too. Jill says, I changed from a sweet breakfast to a savory breakfast. I add chia seeds to my oatmeal and I also add vegetables. That's actually a perfect breakfast. Yogurt as well. And I used to think it's weird, but so you add chia seeds to your oatmeal, you also add vegetables, and plain yogurt. I used to think it was weird, but now I love it. Jill, actually, this is really, really important. I think changing your morning routine is key in improving that gut brain hormone connection. We know that women have such big changes in their gut brain hormone connection that they're now looking into research of how we might be able to use probiotics and prebiotics instead of estrogen and progesterone and hormone therapy because it's that effective in improving your hormonal status, especially in perimenopause. So adding food like chia seeds, like oatmeal, like vegetables, like yogurt, like Jill's breakfast is got it all, is something that is going to be a game changer in your life when it comes to your gut health. So remember gut health, like people always think of gut health as like, oh, my stomach hurts or I'm bloated. And yes, of course, that's part of it. But it's also, do you feel tired all the time? Do you feel moody? Do you feel like your hormones are always off, especially around your period? Like, are you getting exaggerated PMS symptoms? Are you having very bad perimenopausal symptoms? That is all also gut health. So I think that's something to remember that these are completely connected. Another example of a really, really good breakfast would be egg scramble with veggies. And then you could do an apple cider vinegar with water, or you could do a yogurt on the side, or you could do a spoon of sauerkraut. Sometimes I'll just do like take a spoonful and that's it. You got your breakfast done. Got your high protein, you got your veggies, all in one. So that's a good one. Yogurt with berries, seeds, and nuts are also a good one to start the day. Tracy asks, what about kombucha drinks? So kombucha drinks are awesome. They're a good replacement for soda, but you have to remember that a lot of them can be very high in sugar. So you really want to keep it like 6 to 8 grams of sugar per serving or less. So some of the sugar is fermented out, but there's still some of these drinks have like 15 grams of sugar, 20 grams of sugar. You don't want to have those. You want to look for a low sugar kombucha. 6 to 8 grams per serving is the kind of cheat sheet I talk about. I also talk about how in perimenopause, the changes in your gut cause you to be vitamin D deficient almost across the board. Women are vitamin D deficient during perimenopause, and almost across the board, you get a bump in cholesterol, total cholesterol levels during perimenopause, and almost across the board, you would benefit from omega-3 fatty acids in perimenopause. So when you talk about perimenopause, there's a few supplements and food items that you should be eating. So magnesium is one of them, meaning magnesium in food and as a supplement. So you're getting up to 400 to 550 milligrams a day is super important in perimenopause. It can help you with perimenopausal symptoms. And also we've seen that magnesium in those levels in your diet can help protect against dementia and a lot of other cognitive diseases of the brain. So you really want to keep those magnesium levels up. They're involved in 300 different processes in our bodies. Magnesium glycinate is a type of magnesium that seems to be really, really well tolerated in perimenopause, but you can use any type. You can use the creams for your muscles. You can use the citrate if you are constipated. You can use the threonate, is more brain focused, but the glycinate has the calming, anxiety, and sleep solutions that a lot of people in perimenopause suffer with. So magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, fiber, protein, probiotic foods. All of these things are essential when you are going through perimenopause and you want to really optimize your gut health so that your hormones are balanced, your mood is good, and you have tons of energy. And I think a lot of you know you've made these changes, and you can probably tell me, yeah, like this has been a life changer. Like I know that changing my breakfast, adding more outdoor steps, and improving my kind of nutritional status has been a game changer as it pertains to belly fat, brain health, mood, energy, all of it. Okay, so Christine says fermented food. Uh, a lot of people say this. Okay, so fermented food can, for some people, really, really upset the stomach, give you a lot of gas because often you're using too much too fast. So remember that broccoli is good for you, but if you eat like a big, huge plate of raw broccoli, your body is going to hate you because it's producing so much gas trying to digest this thing that you're going to be very uncomfortable. And the same goes with fermented food. Like if you're someone who's never had fermented food before, do not have, multiple servings in one day. You want to really start out slow. And maybe it's simple as having yogurt, up, that's it. And then you start to have a little more as your body starts to get used to it. You have to build up that gut bacteria. Most of us have a ravaged gut bacteria because either we've used antibiotics a lot or we've eaten in our past life, eaten a very processed diet, had surgery. Some of us have had multiple procedures in our abdomen that's really, really going to disrupt the gut bacteria. So you may not be able to jump into, having multiple servings of fermented foods a day. So yeah, that's a great, great question. And yeah, there's people who have issues. So I see question about apple cider vinegar giving heartburn. Same thing. Apple cider vinegar can be really, really nice in a salad dressing or in a water. But when you start having it, if you're having like multiple spoons a day and you're not diluting it enough, it can really, really worsen symptoms of indigestion and acid reflux. Like I know I've been there because you have to be careful with that. Crystal says, with two parents dealing with dementia, I'm listening any way I can to reduce my chances. Thank you. So Crystal, I'll tell you, this gut brain connection talk is absolutely essential because we now know that so much of dementia is related to the gut and the gut issues that are going on. Again, so much so that in animal models, they can transplant the gut microbiome from someone who has dementia to someone who doesn't have dementia, and that person will get dementia, and vice versa. They can cure dementia by actually shifting the microbiome of someone's gut. So it's really exciting and promising. But I'll tell you, before we even get to the crazy stuff of transplanting microbiomes, I can tell you that the best way to change your own microbiome, to improve your own microbiome, is through these changes we're talking about. It's like the exercise, adding these foods, adding these supplements, getting enough sleep, obviously stress, and not overly using antibiotics and antibacterial cleansers and foods and all of that stuff. Even this is so interesting. Antibacterial mouthwash. So the typical mouthwash that we use, the over the counter, people who used mouthwash twice a day had a 50% higher chance of getting type 2 diabetes later on. And that's because of the gut effects. Like when you start to use antibacterial in your mouth, it actually has effects all over the body. So it's super, super interesting. Andrea has a great question. Can you measure the level of your microbiome? That's the $1 million question right now. We don't have a validated test to say, this is a good microbiome and this is a bad microbiome, because what happens is a microbiome is like a fingerprint. Okay. So we know everybody has a different fingerprint, but we don't know what it means. Like, what is a good fingerprint? Like, you can't tell me this is a good fingerprint versus a bad fingerprint, right? Like, so everyone's microbiome can be healthy or unhealthy. Yes, we're different from each other, but it's very hard to determine what it is that makes somebody super healthy. We do know, like, For example, we know that lactobacillus, which is a bacteria that's often present in fermented foods like yogurts and also in kimchi. Also, this lactobacillus is really, really strong way to improve your mood. So they've seen that even in people who had lactobacillus in their diet, they've done a ton of studies on lactobacillus and shows that it's a mood booster across the board. And so, you may say, oh, I'm just going to have lactobacillus in a pill, but we've found out that the best way to carry probiotics is foods. Now you can add a probiotic pill, but really the optimal, it's like the food you eat carries the probiotic almost like in a net, and our body recognizes that and it lets the bacteria through into the gut where it needs to go. When you have it just as a pill, it's not in that net, and it starts to attack it and break it down and kill it because it doesn't want foreign bacteria to enter your body unless it's in that safety net. It's so smart. Like, we know, our bodies know, right? Like that we are going to accept yogurt, we're going to accept natural probiotics, but we're not going to accept it if you just throw it in a pill. And that's the biggest problem that the probiotic industry is having, is how do we get this gut to accept bacteria that we're putting into a pill? And so there's all these new ways of kind of trying to get it to where it needs to go, because this is the future. Like, this is the hormone therapy future. This is the psychiatry future. We know now it's not just the brain that we're concentrating on. It's this one connection between the brain and the gut. That's where our hormones are balanced. That's where our mood is changed. So it's super, super exciting. I feel like, once you realize what a change it makes, you want to just keep improving your gut, because you are like, oh, wait, that makes sense. If I'm eating a ton of junk food and I'm giving my gut all these antibiotics, and I'm really killing my gut bacteria by not giving it enough fiber, that makes sense that this population of people feel depressed. They have hormone imbalances. They have inflammatory disease like diabetes and heart disease. It's because we're not taking care of that gut microbiome. Those bacteria that live in our gut, they're determining our future now and in the future. So our mood, our hormones now, and then our future selves. So when you talk about anti-aging, and I know all of us on this call are trying to anti-age, that's where it's at. It's anti-aging is in that gut-brain hormone connection. So Patricia says, when I was working on healing my gut, I didn't take probiotics. It was all done through nutrition and a few supplements. Yeah, exactly. So yes, you can, there's nothing wrong with, adding some fiber to your diet. Like, I'll give you an example. Inulin is chicory root. Chicory root is a natural substance, and they can make a little fiber out of it. It's clear, like if you mix it in water, you mix it in your shake, it's clear. It'll add 15 grams of fiber to your diet. You want to get about at least 25 grams a day, right? So if you want to add some fiber to your diet, chicory root in a study was shown to change how your brain looks at junk food. They hooked people up to MRIs, and they found that 15 grams of chicory root every day for 2 weeks changed the way your brain looks at junk food. I mean, if that's not something that's shocking, I don't know what it is. So you want to have high fiber, you want to have high protein, you want to eat the probiotic foods, you want to add magnesium, you want to add vitamin D, you want to add omega-3s. You want to take lots of steps, get a lot of sunlight, and do all the things that you're already doing with weight training, but also get a lot of movement through nature as well. So I want to make sure that I pause for a second, and I know that I've talked a lot, but I want to pause to see what questions do you have about, first, like this microbiome gut health connection, and two, we'll talk about specific foods that can help this connection in particular. So go ahead and ask your questions. So
I love it. Let's ask some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I cut you off.
Oh, no, I was saying that one of the things that I thought was very fascinating about the research is that, we know now that women over 40, our gut microbiome is changing. And so some of the things you might not have changed anything. You might not have changed your diet. You might not have changed your exercise routine, but all of a sudden you're getting these hormone symptoms. You're getting gut issues. You're having more trouble digesting certain foods. You're having more mood issues. You're having, like I said, low vitamin D, high cholesterol, and more belly fat, and it doesn't make sense. And it's because as your hormones change, your gut is changing, and that's making everything kind of follow that path. And so when you want to improve your belly fat, your brain health, your mood, your energy levels, we have to start with that gut.
I wanted to share something really quick here. I started taking this. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It has the chicory root that you talked about and the dandelion root. OMG, this thing is absolutely incredible, you ladies. I drink this every single day with a little bit of oat milk. It's like I put 1 tablespoon, and it feels like, I swear, I barely have any cravings. So I was like, what? Is that probably why? Because when people ask, how do you deal with cravings? I don't have cravings. So very interesting. So let's go chicory root
I love it.
every day.
Yeah.
So
So
let's go into those. Go ahead.
Seema, somebody asked for a screenshot of it, Seema and Christy. And Tanya asked, this is a good question. Can you overdose too much on fermented food, protein, fiber, etc.? That's a great question because most of us are underdosing it. So I'll tell you what the underdosing is and then what the overdosing is. So most of us are having abysmal amounts of protein and fiber and fermented food in our diet. Even when you're actively trying to add, I know a lot of us are on high protein diets, so we're getting our protein, but we're often, I know I loved how Coach Patricia, even when I first met her, was talking about fiber because that fiber number is super, super important. So I'll tell you, most people, I think 95% of America is getting less than 25 grams of fiber a day. And so if you are getting 25 grams and you were only getting 10, that's amazing. But if you're someone who is getting 25 grams, maybe you push it to 40 grams, we know that our ancestors ate double the 25 grams. They ate 50 to 80 grams of fiber a day because you couldn't get refined flour, you couldn't get refined sugar, you couldn't get refined everything. So everything was full of fiber. So fiber has to be turned up slowly, but it can go up to, you can keep going just to comfort of your gut basically. But I would say 25 is the goal, but getting over that up to 40 is great. Protein, we talk about getting, depending on your goals, and muscle growth versus muscle maintenance versus some people have to be on a low protein diet, but in general, if you're in perimenopause, you want to up the protein. So we're losing 1 to 3% of our body's muscle mass every year in menopause. And that used to happen every 10 years. So every 10 years, we used to lose 1 to 3% of muscle mass. But during perimenopause, that goes up to almost like per year. So you're really trying to kind of maintain, even just by doing your weight training and adding more protein, you're actually trying to just counteract some of that muscle loss, which is an unfortunate side effect of the lowered estrogen that we feel. So the other thing that happens during perimenopause is we get lower progesterone. So a lot of us will feel anxious and have sleep issues. So you definitely want to, keep that estrogen and progesterone at the best levels that they can be. And you want to weight train to push that and eat the protein to kind of push that muscle growth. And you want to be eating that fermented food to feed that gut bacteria. So I use fermented and probiotic interchangeably, but I do want to say that probiotic food is really what we're looking for. So some fermented foods are not probiotic. So for example, if you get a pickle and it's from a jar on the shelf, it doesn't really contain probiotic bacteria. In America, anything that's probiotic has to be listed as probiotic or has to have the bacteria listed on the panel. So it's pretty easy to tell if you're eating a probiotic food. So you really want to add probiotics. So the number, this is crazy, the number for probiotic foods that's optimal for gut diversity that they've seen in studies over and over again is 3 to 5 servings a day of probiotics. And that's a lot. But if you think about it, if you're getting a yogurt, you're getting, one thing of apple cider vinegar, and you're having maybe a spoon of sauerkraut or kombucha, that's 3 right there. So that's kind of the optimal amount, is 3 to 5 servings a day. That is like 5 more servings than most Americans are having at all. So even if you can get 1 serving a day, I think you're ahead of most people. But when you're talking about what is the too much, you can go pretty high. I mean, 5 servings a day, I don't think you want to go higher than that, but that's pretty much the range of how much. Chicory root, where does it come in and where do you get it? So chicory root fiber is a prebiotic fiber. So there's certain vegetables that actually have a special fiber that the gut bacteria love. So garlic, onions, asparagus, chicory root. There's a bunch of foods that have that special prebiotic bacteria. Now, any vegetable stock, like a broccoli stalk or asparagus, any stalk really does have that prebiotic bacteria, but there are ones that, Jerusalem artichokes are like an amazing source of prebiotic bacteria. So chicory root is, you can find it at the store as a powder, unflavored powder. You can find it as a part of teas, like what Patricia was mentioning, and you can get it from, so the chicory root that I have is, it's an unflavored inulin. It's called inulin, INULIN, and it tastes like nothing. It's a white clear powder, and it basically makes your water like a little bit like a little bit thicker, but really has no other flavor. And so you can add it to your smoothies. You can just drink it if you want. I obviously like to have my fiber in foods as much as possible, but like Patricia said, like you can add it to your tea, you can add it to your shake. It's really, really easy way to get more fiber in your diet if you're having trouble getting it through foods alone. So Good Culture is a good brand that makes ricotta cheese, cream cheese, and sour cream with probiotic strains. Yes, Good Culture is one of my favorites, and also Nancy's. So if you look for Nancy's cottage cheese or yogurt or Good Culture, both of them are probiotic, and they have, it's so easy and delicious to add that to your morning routine as part of, your day, and you're done. You can add your cottage cheese to your eggs, by the way. I don't know if you guys ever tried that, but it's also super delicious. You can make pancakes with them. There's so many things you can do to get that fiber, that protein, that probiotic right there in the morning and get it done with. And that's one of the biggest things that will change the way. Try this for 2 weeks and you'll see how it completely changes your diet. So one thing I wanted to just touch on is, if you guys, any of you guys, I guess I'll just ask, do any of you guys feel like you have an issue with bloating? And if you do, just raise your hand, because bloating can be a really big issue, especially around those hormonal times of the month. So if you are having trouble with bloating, one of the biggest things I'll say to you is, you still want to have your fiber, but you want to have it in things like leafy greens, like asparagus, like avocado. Those 3 things are really, really gentle for your gut, but have a ton of fiber in it. You also want to have certain fruits and vegetables that actually really support digestion at this time. So papayas, pineapples, they both have digestive enzymes in them. So pineapple has this thing called bromelain, which is a digestive enzyme. Papaya also has, and avocados, they have enzymes in them that actually help break down your food. So those of us who are having issues with breaking down food, having bloating issues, papayas, pineapples, avocados are great foods to have. Another great food to have is kiwi. Kiwi has been shown in studies to actually help with bloating and constipation. In fact, 2 sun gold kiwis a day has been shown to actually be as effective as all the anti-constipation medications that you can have, because it's that good for kind of getting that gut bacteria moving and pushing that stool out. So those are particularly really good foods to have when you're feeling extremely bloated. And then the other thing is ginger tea and dandelion tea are two really, really great teas to add when you're feeling really, really bloated. Ginger and dandelion root are excellent sources of anti-bloat. So when you're feeling bloated, you want to go for a walk, you want to drink a lot of water, and you want to eat these foods that actually help everything kind of dissipate, the gas to dissipate. And so these foods can be really, really helpful when you're trying to help your body. Sometimes it's a lot of us feel bloated because we're eating foods that don't agree with our body, but sometimes bloating is just part of hormones, and we often go through it. So those are the foods that you want to have during bloating. Supplements I talked about, the fiber foods I talked about, probiotics, difference between probiotic and fermented foods I talked about how exercise, especially walking outside or being outdoors, is a super great way to improve your gut health. We talked about sleep, how sleep for our brain and sleep for our gut are both really, really important ways to improve our gut health. We didn't really mention it, but stress control, I think a lot of us could improve our gut health just by improving our stress control, because that gut brain axis is so intertwined that what you put into your mind is also going to affect what's going on in your gut, and what you put into your body through gut, like your food, can affect your mind. So food creates mood, and then what you it let into your brain, including social media, friends you surround yourself with, and ideas you're thinking about, also affect your gut. So you really don't want to forget that very, very important piece of that gut brain connection. So I wanted to make sure that I leave lots of time to answer questions. So one of the things I wanted to tell you, so a few things. One, I'm doing a full certification on this, a gut hormone brain certification program for those people who want to bring it to their patients or their clients or their family and friends. Doing a free class to explain it all on Thursday. And then we're doing a retreat in Costa Rica on on May 1 through 5, where we're going to be practicing all of these things. And then also doing lots of fun stuff on the beach, workouts, healthy eating, all of that stuff. And then if you want to follow me on social media, you can always do it. I'm at FastingMD on Instagram. I give tons of hormone and gut brain connection advice. So I want to take your questions. So please go ahead. If I had to build the ideal meal for you in the morning, I would say that it would have fiber, like I said, an egg scramble with veggies, maybe some cottage cheese on the side is an amazing breakfast. Yogurt with berries and nuts. You got your probiotic, you got your fiber, you got your protein. It's a great way to start. Tofu scramble with black beans and veggies, another amazing way to start your day. You could do a protein shake, but remember, with protein shakes, the whole thing is, make sure you have that fiber in there. And where are you going to get your probiotics? Are you going to add yogurt to it or whatever? So make sure your shake has the fiber and the protein and the probiotic food in it. And that's a perfect way to start your day as well. Okay, so what questions do you have about what foods you should be having, what supplements you should have having, what activities you should be doing, other questions on gut brain hormone connection? Just go ahead and ask them. So if I had to tell you, sorry, go ahead.
Now I have a question for a client that couldn't be on the call today, and I promised that I would ask. So I'm gonna drop here so you can read, and then she will. Why it's not going? What the hell? Okay, there you go. So everything has been amazing, but she has always been a little bit on and off with, her gut issues. And I've been trying to really convince her that we need to do a gut protocol with her because we do offer that in the program. And she has been very resistant. You can't force people to do things, right? Right. So, but I told her, girl, you cannot wish this thing away.
Yeah.
It comes to a point that it's gonna get so bad that I couldn't exercise. I had to stop doing strength training for 90 days because once your gut gets that bad, you cannot. I was not even supposed to be pushing my body to training because I was just adding more stress to it. So I was more like walking, yoga,
Mhm.
like the things that I'm like, can I just lift some weight, and I couldn't. I couldn't eat anything. Everything I ate, it would flare up. I had H. pylori twice. I mean, and I truly believe that it was all because of a lot of stress that I was under. And it took me a long time
Mhm.
to heal my gut. So I see her going through the same thing, and I'm like, we need to work with this. And I told her to be on this call today, and she couldn't. So, what do you recommend? What do you say here for her so she can hopefully finally do something
Yeah.
about it with me?
Okay, so there's a few things going on here, so I'll just point out to you the things that kind of pop out at me. So she has something called eosinophilic esophagitis. So that is often can be treated with food elimination diet. So it's weird, but these cells get stuck in our esophagus and it makes her hard to swallow, and it can cause a lot of GI issues. And so doing a food elimination diet, I don't know, Patricia, if you do food elimination diets with but it's pretty much what you're doing with your flush, because you're having them
Just the
eliminate like
flush, yeah.
gluten, dairy, and all sugar and all this stuff. So she definitely needs that, like an elimination diet, to determine kind of, one, give her body a rest, her GI tract a rest from those things, and then she can add it back one by one, each food, to figure out which food may be a trigger for her. Because I think that could definitely help at least some of this. And it's not like a food allergy, but it's a food reaction that's not like an anaphylactic allergy, but something that's causing issues in her gut. Just like you said, kind of eliminating those foods and then adding back. Now, ulcers in the mouth or tongue are really, really hard. It can be totally unrelated to the gut. And then the loose stools multiple times a day, that's actually a big sign of gut distress. So most people don't realize that you don't necessarily need to have a bowel movement every single day. But if you're not having a bowel movement every 3 to 4 days, that's abnormal. And if you're having a bowel movement more than 3 times a day that are loose, that's also abnormal. So there's a big range of what normal is. But this multiple loose stools, like, sounds like urgency and more than 3 times a day, that's something that actually requires a workup, because that's not in the range of what like we consider normal. And that is something like, if you haven't, I think she said she got a EGD, but I would get more than that, because that's actually, like, we talk about loose stools in people, but when you're having it multiple times a day with urgency for a period of time, that's definitely something to get work up on. So there's like multiple layers here. The flush will help with one thing, but it may not help with the loose stools. Maybe it will. So that's definitely something that you can do. There's a probiotic, she says, that's specifically for skin issues like eczema, and she's wondering if I've ever heard of it. It's called Skinessa Skin Probiotic. I haven't heard of that one. There are some probiotics that can help, but I definitely think it's more than about just taking a probiotic. This is going to require multi-levels, including kind of elimination diet, seeing if that helps with the stools and with the GI issues, and then probably getting a colonoscopy and really looking deeper into why the GI tract is this disturbed. This is not something that can just get better with a probiotic, in my mind, for sure.
Thank you.
Um,
Very
yeah.
helpful.
Andrea says, those of us who need to be dairy free, are there good options for prebiotic and probiotic foods? Yeah, Andrea, this is a great question because nowadays, when you go to Sprouts or Whole Foods or these natural food stores, there's tons of, coconut yogurts and, remember, like sauerkraut, kimchi, those are dairy free. Like the raw apple cider vinegar, kombucha, these are all really, really good options. There's this, I think Good Gut makes a probiotic, like it's like you just have to have 1 spoon of it. It's like it's pretty good. It kind of tastes like a concentrated kombucha. It's I think it's called Good Gut. I think it's called coconut water kefir. So kefir is like a fermented water drink that doesn't have dairy in it. So you can try that. Um, for those of us in the Midwest, what do you recommend for getting sunlight in the morning? I know this is a really hard one in the winter. Nicole, you get sunlight whenever you can. And if you can't get sunlight, just get daylight. So even if it's still overcast, it's fine. That's still considered in your brain. Your body still registers that as daylight. But there's a super, super good hack for those of us who cannot get outside, can't get any natural light. On Amazon, you can buy something called a Happy Light. If you Google Happy Light, you'll find tons of options for lights that you can put on your desk or while you're getting ready in the morning, and getting a dose 15 to 20 minutes a day actually has been shown as a treatment for depression. Like, if believe it or not, people who have seasonal affective disorder use this light every morning, and it actually boosts their mood. And I wish I knew about this when I lived in Boston, because I feel like I was totally having seasonal affective disorder, and because it was dark in the morning when I would leave for work, and it would be dark in the evening when I would get out of work, and it's just like overhead lighting is all I ever saw. And so I think make a point of getting daylight, in the middle of the day or whenever it is light outside, and then you could buy one of those Happy Lights. You want to make sure a Happy Light is 10,000 lux of light if you're buying a Happy Light, and when you're it's 10,000 lux of light at 12 inches from your face. So make sure you're having it at 12 inches from your face. So pretty close to your face for 20 minutes and 10,000 lux of light. That's kind of the magic things that you should be looking for when. Is water kefir good? Yes, you can do water kefir is great. It's fermented. It's like a fermentation process. There's the Good Gut thing that I was telling you about is coconut water kefir. You can get just water kefir. You can get obviously yogurt kefir. These are all amazing options. Most people still, even healthy people, don't realize what I'm telling you about this gut protocol with fiber and the probiotic food and the protein. And when you have that combination, you're going to be optimizing your, muscle growth, your belly fat, your mood, your energy levels. And I think a lot of us who have switched to that kind of diet can say, like, that actually works. And it's really, really effective way to change. I wish I could tell everybody, in their 40s, like, start your day with a high protein breakfast, add the fiber, have a fermented food, get the sunlight, get the walking. It is like a game changer for your hormones and how you feel on a daily basis. Are these items okay for kids and teens? They tend to eat what we eat. Perfect. Yeah. Seema, my kids love the coconut water kefir, the Good Gut. It kind of tastes like sparkling coconut water. They also love sauerkraut. Well, they don't love sauerkraut, but I have them eat it because it's similar to kind of tastes like pickles. And if you just have a spoon of it with your meal, it's not a big deal at all. And those are really great options. Of obviously yogurts and cottage cheese are great options for them too. This is a great question. So May asks, is sunlight through a sunroof while driving any good? Okay, so it is, but it's not as good. It's not nearly as good. If you can roll down your window even, or open your sunroof, I know it's hard in the winter, but getting that direct light without going through the window is really important. It's like 50 times more effective when you see it in real life. So if you're in your car and you have to park maybe you park a little bit farther in the parking lot and you walk through that sunny parking lot in the middle of the day. Or maybe you have a lunch break or you have a coffee break and you go outside and take your call or take your coffee. These are all really easy ways to just get a little bit of sunlight or daylight. I shouldn't even say sunlight. It doesn't have to be super hot and sunny. It's just got to be daylight. Really, really easy ways. And I think you intuitively know, I intuitively knew this, but really putting it into practice is a game changer. Like I intuitively knew that when those days where I spent a little bit more time outside, like walking outside or taking a call outside, like I would feel better. But when I start to learn the science around it and that our bodies need input from natural sources on a daily basis, then you understand why we have such an epidemic of like low mood and depression disease. Like so much of it is circadian rhythm disturbance. Um, Danielle says, how does caffeine affect the gut biome? That's a really, really great question. So we don't think that it's a bad thing. We think that actually the studies say that caffeine, even for the gut, even for IBS, like irritable bowel syndrome, can be a good thing, just obviously not in excess. I think people, when they have caffeine in America, like have many, many, many cups a day. Like you want to stick to 1 to 3 cups a day. As a good source of caffeine if you're trying to do it for your gut. There's lots of debate on how much caffeine we should be having, but definitely the studies on coffee and gut health and even hormone health and immune health are good. Like they're positive, which is great news for a lot of us.
I love it. I am a coffee drinker. When I did it, when my gut was going crazy, they took me out of coffee. I was like, oh my gosh. Anyways, I have a question for you. I remember that you shared on one of your reels about, the correlation or of between hot flashes and Alzheimer's. So chat with us a little bit because, I don't think I have hot flashes. I maybe probably experienced once or twice, which was actually fun because I love to be hot. So, but around my period, I wake up, I'm like soaked, right?
Yeah.
Like that week right around my period. I'm not on any hormone replacement yet. I'm okay with that for now. But when you share that, I was like, what? I really need
Yeah.
to. So talk to us a little bit because I do have quite a few clients that are dealing with night sweats and hot flashes. How can we minimize that? I take all kinds of things, magnesium and this and that, I'm on top of the game with this, but why is it this is not supporting?
Yeah. So it's really interesting. What they found is that they're calling it vasomotor symptoms of menopause. So vasomotor symptoms is the hot and the temperature changes that happen with menopause. So estrogen seems to be helping with the temperature regulation in our bodies. And when estrogen is out of control, it messes up the temperature regulation in our body. It seems like that symptom of temperature dysregulation is also happening in our brains. The vasomotor symptoms are happening all over the body. So you're getting sweating, you're getting night sweats, but it's also making changes in the brain. And so what they're thinking is that it's a marker of things that are starting to change in the brain. So more reason to one of the biggest indications for hormone therapy in women is vasomotor symptoms. So if you're getting really, really bad hot flashes or night sweats and you're want to figure out what to do to protect your brain from Alzheimer's because there's been a connection between vasomotor symptoms and dementia, it is, trying to get on hormone therapy if you're having severe symptoms. Now, that being said, this is very new. Like this discovery is extremely new. And what they found is it was true even in people who are getting hormone therapy. So they're not 100% sure, like, if the hormone therapy is curative. It doesn't seem to be completely like, it's not like, oh, just take hormone therapy, it's a fix. Like we're still trying to figure out what are the nuances. Like, is it the people that are having a lot of hot flashes? Are they do they need more estrogen, or is it that they need earlier estrogen? So we're still trying to find out the nuances, but we're seeing that like some of these symptoms of menopause have bigger meaning than just what's happening on the surface. So like having those vasomotor symptoms, so again, hot flashes, night sweats, the temperature changes in our body is an indication of something more, that it's a warning sign that, hey, you better optimize your brain health in all the other ways you can, because this stuff is affecting it. But again, our research level for hormones is so like new and sparse that we're not even sure like what dose of estrogen, if people are having these symptoms, like what, how do we prevent this dementia? Like, is it just so that's still ongoing, but yes, that's super
Love it.
interesting and scary.
We
About
have 3 minutes here, ladies. I obviously want to be super respectful of your time, and Dr. Nisha, how awesome this call has been. I mean, I can talk about this all day long. I love the topic of, hormones and gut. There's so many other questions that I had for you, but I obviously want to give a couple of more people any opportunity to ask. I want to just want to share one more time about what you said in regards to your class that is on Thursday. It's a free class, you said?
free.
Jesus,
And
girl, you can't get better than that, right? Free stuff. Okay. So jump on that class. Can you can you send
yeah,
me the
can I send you
information?
the
So
link? I can send you the link to sign up. Let me
yeah,
just
send me the
see.
link so I can give it to the ladies. And also her women's retreat. Well, it's not women's retreat, a wellness retreat, right? Because I know that some
Yes,
people are
you can.
taking their
Yeah.
husbands or whatnot. I have my women's retreat in September, so we're all coming. But she has her retreat in May, and I'm coming actually to this retreat to support her work there. So super excited to be there with her. So whoever wants to, look into that, um,
It would be
more
so fun. We can do gut health stuff, we can do fitness stuff, muscle, menopause stuff, all of the above. It would be, and with the beach, like, beach walk every single day, and unlimited food and drink. It'll be super fun. I'm sending you.
I hope the husbands will be okay with that whole gut menopause thing. Just kidding.
Yes, they will have to be. I'm gonna
But
send you the link on your text, because I don't know how to add it from my phone to this
yeah,
thing, because I'm
send it
not.
to me and I'll post it in here.
Yeah.
But you don't want to, you ladies, jump on this thing, right? Like you don't want to miss that. The more information, one of the things, right, that I have been really, how can I say, passionate about since I start really dealing with this whole thing myself with hormones and gut and blah 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 and all of that, has been about education, right? Educating yourself and being an advocate for your health, right? I know a lot of people that go to doctors and they don't give them answers, right? So here we are, we have, an incredible doctor with us, sharing all this knowledge that a lot of people don't even have. I have a couple of clients that actually got breast cancer during the program, okay? And one of them were like, one of them actually had it before she came into the program, and she said, I wasn't afraid at all because I was empowered by the information that I had and I knew what to do. So understand that, we could keep going on and on here, even about why women on menopause or perimenopause, or even postmenopause develop breast cancer. There's so many other correlations there with hormones, right? So, and these are all the foundational work that our past generation didn't have, because as Dr. Amy Shah has been sharing, this is all new stuff, right? The researchers are just coming up now. So we are the blessed generation, if you will, that will be able to prevent a lot of these things like dementia and breast cancer that it could be happening for us just by getting empowered with this information. So I would definitely jump on this free, how can I say, class that she has on Thursday.
Yeah,
I'm going
so
to drop the
what,
link here for you.
just to hop on what you're saying, Patricia, we have evidence that we have 50% less diversity of our microbiomes than even just a couple of ancestors ago, like our grandparents, for example. And what happens is, as your microbiome gets decreased in the amount of bacteria, you pass on that decreased bacteria to your children. And so what's been happening over the generations is that we've been getting more diseases, more depression, more hormone issues, as we're losing our bacteria diversity over the generations. So one of the best things you can do for your future generations and for yourself is repopulate that gut, because it affects the people around you and your children and your grandchildren, etc.
Wow. Did you hear that? That's amazing, ladies. Let's make a difference for our next generation, okay? So here is the link for the class. Sign up, block your calendar, and make it happen. And also for the women's retreat, the middle retreat, do we have that link as well? I think Rachel sent it to me.
I can send that to you as well, and then, or we can send it out.
Let's see here, Rachel, because I know I got it from the email. I can probably just grab it here. It's the same link, correct?
Yeah, it's the same link.
Okay, awesome. Got it here.
You can also message me
For those of you-
anytime, and I'll get you any information that you guys need.
Yeah, there we go, everybody. The link here for the retreat, if you want to be there hanging out with this incredible woman, for a few days, just picking on her brain and her knowledge. I mean, I am so excited to spend this time with her. So it's already 6:03. Anybody has any final questions or thoughts that you would like to share before everybody goes? Our group normally does that. They wait until they release. I'm like, you can release now.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Or we good?
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay,
Awesome.
ladies.
Thank you guys so
Thank you
much.
so much
So
for your
fun.
time. Really appreciate you. Have a
Take
great one.
care. You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.